The thing that's holding you back from experiencing true food freedom and becoming an intuitive eater is not that you're a failure or your lack of willpower or some kind of weakness. It's your fear of failure. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. Okay, I can't believe that I haven't done this episode yet. It is way overdue because this is going to be the thing that's standing in your way, the biggest block between you and the life that you deserve, the life that you dream, the freedom around food, around your body that you have been craving for so long. And that is the fear of failing at intuitive eating. How can you finally overcome this crippling, overwhelming dread and fear that this is going to be just another thing that you try and that you fail at? Or the fear that you're going to gain all this weight and lose control and your health is going to go down the drain if you're feeling any of that. If you're understanding intuitive eating and it makes so much sense for you and you see intuitive eaters and you look at them and you think, oh my God, I wish that that could be me. I wish that I could just be normal around food. I wish that food wasn't such a gigantic issue in my life. I wish that I didn't think about food 24/7. There's all of these like I wishes going on in your mind, but you feel this internal resistance, this like really real and intense fear and self-doubt and anxiety when you think about doing this, when you think about going on intuitive eating journey. And I do call it a journey as much as like, I think that's such a lame word, but it is a journey because to decide at its root, it's a Latin word that means to cut off. And to decide to become an intuitive eater is to cut off all other options, to cut off the option of going back to years and years of dieting and hating yourself and hating your body and feeling anxious around food and feeling like you're in a prison. It's to make that decision to cut that off and say, this is not my life anymore. This is not what I'm doing anymore. And that can be a really big decision for you, especially if you've never made this like big shift and really haven't stepped out of your comfort zone in this way before. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about why this is happening. Why is it that when we know that something has the power to change our lives, to make it better, to set us free, why is it so hard to do it? Why do we keep getting in our own way? Like what's going on physiologically and how can you overcome this? Because most of you probably listening to this and wishing that you stopped getting in your own way, that you could do the thing, that you could stop letting fear dictate your life and control you. And this might not just be about becoming an intuitive eater. This might be in so many areas of your life where you let fear hold you back and you know that you have so much potential. You have so much to give to the world, that you're meant for more, that your life is meant for more. And yet you keep holding yourself back and fear is running the show. Fear is in the driver's seat. And that can be really painful to see because fear is going to keep your life small and it's going to hold you back from living your true life purpose. And it is like the fast track to feeling a lot of regret at the end of your life. And that is one of my biggest fears, is to feel regret. So I actually will consistently, constantly, regularly, every day, I will push past fear. I will be present with it and I will move anyways. even in the presence of fear, I have a little post-it on on my computer that says put fear in your backpack, because I imagine myself like saying, okay, fear is here. I feel it. I'm present to it, but it doesn't mean that this is not meant for me. It doesn't mean that this is the wrong decision. It just means that I'm pushing past my comfort zone. It means that I'm expanding myself. It means that I'm doing something I've never done before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be so proud that I'm feeling this fear and then I'm doing it anyway. So I'm a visual person. So I imagine myself putting fear in my backpack and walking with it, kind of having it in the passenger seat. I'm not getting rid of it. I'm there with it. I see it, but I'm not letting it control my actions. And that is my intention for you, so that you can create the most amazing, phenomenal, freeing, full life that you are going to be so proud of at the end of your life. Because time goes by so freaking quickly. And as I get older, I feel like time is slipping from my hands. The days go by fast, the weeks go by fast, the months go by fast. And before you know it, years have gone by and you haven't achieved the things you wanted to achieve. And you're not living the life that you thought that you would. And you feel like there's so much more out there for you. And I don't want that for you. When you stop holding yourself back and you're able to notice that the fear is there. Okay, I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid that this is just going to be another thing. I'm afraid of investing in myself and then looking like a fool. I'm afraid of what other people are going to say. I'm afraid of what it's going to do to my weight. I'm afraid all of these things. I want you to just be okay with that coming up. Bring awareness to it, because when you learn how to make decisions, even in the face of fear, that's what courage is. Courage is not moving and acting in the absence of fear. It's doing it with fear present anyways. So when you learn how to do this, and I'm actually going to help you in today's episode to do that, you're going to change your life. You're going to start moving in the direction of food freedom. You're going to take the actions necessary to heal your relationship with food, to break up with yo-yo dieting, to find freedom and peace around eating, and to get your mental space, your energy, and your time back to focus on the things that matter more to you. Just imagine the things that become possible, the doors that open up for you, the opportunities, the experiences that you get to have when food and your body are no longer controlling you, how your relationships will be different, right? When you're more present, when you feel more confident, when you have more self-esteem, when you have mental space and you're not just thinking about what you should be eating or what you ate and how many calories and like this constant food chatter. Think of what becomes possible for your kids. If you are someone who has young kids or even adult kids and you're scared of passing this down to them and you're scared that you're not being the best mom that you really can be, think of what becomes possible when you have this ability to trust yourself, to have a healthy relationship with food, to pass this down to the people that you love and set them up for a healthy, a happy life where food and their body is not a struggle. Think of what becomes possible for you at work. I have a lot of members inside Food Freedom Academy who would tell me before they started the program that they couldn't focus, or that they didn't ask for promotions, or that they couldn't speak up for themselves. Some of them wanted to start businesses of their own, but were afraid to be seen, didn't trust themselves. Your relationship with food and your body, you might not realize it, or you might realize it, but not be fully present with the fact that it seeps into every area of your life. And there's no relationships more important than that. So my goal for you in this episode is really to unlock that door for you and to help you push past this fear and to move forward, even when it's there, and to start making real changes to your life. If you look at the most successful people in the world, it might be people you don't know that you look up to, or maybe it is people that you do know and you think, oh, they really they're living the life. I think of some of the classic inspirations like Bill Gates or Oprah, even though Oprah is a little problematic right now, but it doesn't take away the fact that she's done some really amazing things with her life. When you look at the most successful people in the world, and success can mean different from one person to another, one thing that they all have in common is the most successful people are usually the ones who had to push past the most fear, because success and expansion and growth and achievement, it doesn't happen inside of your comfort zone, right? If you visually think of your comfort zone is small, it's restrictive, it has constraints. It's like this box that you live in. If you really think about it, your comfort zone is a prison. And so in order to push past this, in order to create something that's outside of your comfort zone, you need to do something you've never done before. You need to be okay with the unknown. You need to take risks. You need to believe in yourself, even if there's no evidence to show that anything is even possible. If you look at the way that Amazon was created, it started in a freaking either a basement or a garage. I can't think, but it started from nothing. And it was one person who had unshakable belief, even when there was no evidence to show for it, because anyone who's ever created something big, who's ever created something out of nothing, it was nothing at one point. No one knows how to read the future. No one was ever able to say, I know with 100% certainty that this is going to work because I live in the future and I'm able to see it. No, what makes every single person successful, whether that is successful in business, successful in relationships, successful in becoming an intuitive eater, is this belief in themselves. Even when they don't have the certainty, they don't have the evidence, and they don't have the control to know if it's going to work or not. There's no one who's ever become an intuitive eater who knew without a shadow of a doubt, you know what? I know that this is going to work because I saw the future. They all trusted the process. And what makes it easier to trust the process is to be surrounded by people and by a guide or a support or a mentor or a coach or a dietitian or someone who has been through it, who knows what it's like. I think back to when I became, I went through my own intuitive eating journey. I was all by myself. I didn't have a coach. It wasn't as much of a thing as it is now. And I had no one. I had to figure it out all by myself. And yet, the reason why I kept moving forward, even in tremendous amount of discomfort. I mean, when I made that first decision to go to Italy, and if you've heard episode 1 where I talk about my story, Italy was like this pivotal point where I decided I can't keep living this way anymore. I will be so filled with regret if this is how I decide to spend the rest of my days, obsessing over food and over my weight and shrinking my life in the process. Making that decision to go to Italy, where I knew I was going to be pushed out of my comfort zone and I would need to eat foods that made me uncomfortable and I would not be able to track and control everything that I ate, it made me incredibly uncomfortable. But that's a price you pay. That's a price I was willing to pay to create the life that I knew that I was meant for. And when I look at the life that I have now versus the life that I had just a few years ago, there's no amount of money that you can give me to go back to where I was before. I mean, the things that I've been able to create, the opportunities that I've had, the relationships that I've strengthened, it is truly priceless. So when we talk about what it takes to create a truly amazing life, I think that one thing that gets left out of the conversation a lot is how much fear you'll have to feel and still act and move with the presence of it. And this could not be more true when it comes to my business. I feel fear and I do things that make me uncomfortable every single day because I know that that's the price that I get to pay in order to create greatness. So if you want to create an amazing life, you have to do something that stretches you. Because if you don't, and you stay in your comfort zone, and in this case, when we talk about a comfort zone in the context of dieting and food and control, the comfort zone is usually doing the same patterns. So that could be tracking calories or restricting or labeling food as good and bad and following food rules and really like doing anything that you can to externally control your food. And it can even be the destructive byproducts of that. So in your comfort zone, you might experience a lot of overeating, binge eating, emotional eating because you haven't learned how to feel your negative emotions. So your comfort zone can include distracting yourself, numbing yourself, not truly being present with the issues that need to be addressed. Your comfort zone can also be mindsets. It can be uncomfortable to change beliefs that you've held for your entire life, even when it's beliefs that don't serve you, even when it's beliefs that are not rooted in truth. For example, if I talk about the biggest belief that is hard to rewire and to let go of, it's this belief that dieting will lead you to a healthier and thinner body, a happier and more confident life. This is a lie that you've been sold your entire life. And so to let go of that and to be open-minded and to be coachable to a new way of thinking around food, a way of thinking that will allow you to have more peace, less guilt, more freedom, and actually more health around food, it's going to require you to stretch yourself and to push past the fears of what if I let go of this belief, and your brain will go to the worst case scenario. So I want to just say that if you're feeling all of this fear, I totally get it. I mean, I am probably the expert when it comes to feeling fear because I feel it every single day. And so if you're feeling that, I want you to know that it's actually a good thing. It means you're doing something new. There's this saying and this quote that I saw somewhere, I can't remember where, but it said, sometimes the thing that you're most afraid to do is the very thing that will set you free. The thing that are the hardest for us to do, even if we know that they're good for us, are the things that are the most likely to change our lives. You will experience the most resistance when you're about to make a choice that will actively change everything because you're a creature of safety. We all are. Our subconscious is more concerned with safety than happiness. And when it senses that things are about to change and things are about to get really, really good, that feels dangerous. That feels a little bit scary. But the truth is, you can handle it. And the sooner you can see that the resistance is just fear, but it's misguided fear, the sooner you get to release it and return back to the truth. That is, you are ready for this next step. I love that. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's spot on. And what's a really important mindset to also take on is to look at the benefits, the hidden benefits that you take away from believing this fear. believing this fear that intuitive eating won't work for you, that this is going to be another thing that you're going to fail at, that it's not worth it, that you're not worth it, you're not worth investing yourself, all of these fears that come up, there is a hidden benefit to holding on to this belief. So I want you to ask yourself, what is this benefit? One of the benefits might be it keeps you safe. It keeps you from taking action. It keeps you from doing what it takes. It keeps you from uncovering issues that maybe you've been pushing down through dieting. It keeps you from actually bringing to light things that you've been ignoring for years. And whatever that benefit is that you have, that you take away from holding on to this belief that it won't work for you, don't beat yourself up. The reason why we hold on to any belief is because it has a hidden benefit, but it also has a consequence. And that's something that I want you to also look at. What is the consequence of holding on to this belief that intuitive eating won't work for me? I'm going to fail at it. It's going to be another thing that I try and that I fall off the wagon on, or I'm the one special snowflake for who this is not going to work for. What's the consequence? Because ultimately, the consequence is what you're saying when you're holding on to that belief is you're saying, then that means that this is going to be my life for the rest of my life, right? You have two choices. Either you pursue food freedom, you go after it, you feel the discomfort, but you know that you're meant for it and that you need to do this, or you keep holding on to this belief that it's not going to work for me, so I won't try. And if you're listening to this, I know that you're not someone who gives up. And so the consequence of holding on to this belief is really an acceptance that this is going to be it. This is going to be your life for the rest of your life. Overeating, binge eating, guilt, thinking about food all the time. And that's just like the primary consequence. And then there's ripple effect consequences. What is that going to do to your health? How is that going to affect your relationships, your partnerships, your career, your mental health, your social life, your memories, the experiences you take or you don't take, the travel you don't do? A lot of secondary ripple effect consequences that come out of holding on to this fear and this belief. So this is actually an exercise that I encourage you to do that is going to be a massive way to unblock yourself. Is I want you to sit down and just write down without stopping, like without filtering through. Do it alone if you can. Take out a pen and piece of paper and write down the consequence of holding on to this belief that you're going to be a failure, that you'll fail, that this is not going to work for you, that there's no way that you could possibly experience food freedom. And think about the consequence, not just a year from now, but like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now. And how is that going to compound over time? Because positive change compounds positively over time. It becomes exponential. But negative change, lack of change, stagnancy, it also compounds over time. And it makes it harder and harder to dig yourself out of that hole. So really sitting down and getting really present to what is the consequence of holding on to this belief that I can't do this, that this is not possible for me, that I'm not worth it. It's very real. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this, which is our brains, they're wired to go to the worst case scenario because our nervous system is designed for our safety. It's designed for our survival. It's always looking for problems to solve. It's always looking for things that might be a threat to your survival. And so it's actually not wired for our growth. It's not wired for our happiness. It's wired for our survival. And so you will notice that your brain will go to the worst case scenario, not because there's something wrong with you, but actually it means your nervous system is working just fine. And I want you to notice how your brain goes there. Of, oh my God, what would happen if I actually did break free and break up with dieting? Like, where does your mind go? What is the really worst case scenario? And actually bring light to it. Because whatever we keep in the shadows, whatever we push down, whatever we resist, persists. And sometimes what can be really freeing is to bring light to what's going on subconsciously. It's like, imagine that there's a shadow in a room and it looks like a demon. Like it's in the darkness and it looks like a demon. And if you have kids, they're terrified because it looks like there's a demon hiding in the shadows. And then you turn the light on and you see that it's just a teddy bear. It's really not that bad. So it can be really helpful to actually notice, where is your brain going to the worst case scenario? And you could do this exercise too if you're someone who's like really committed and you're serious and you're listening and you're an action taker. Take out a pen and a piece of paper and write down the worst case scenario that my brain is created if I let go of dieting and pursue intuitive eating is. And then see what comes up. So do that first. And then next, try something on for me. Try something new. And this is something that I do in all, big endeavors, because like I said, I feel a lot of fear all the time, is instead of saying, what if, and then what if this fails? What if I can't? What if I make a fool of myself? Like all of the things. What if this works? What is the best case scenario? What if this is the best decision I've ever made? And make that like a second column on your piece of paper is, what if this works? What if I get my freedom back? I learn how to trust my body. I eat with ease. Eating becomes natural. I stabilize my weight. I become the healthiest version of me that I ever thought possible, physically and mentally. I get to pass this down to my kids. I become more confident. I have more self-esteem. My anxiety around food goes away. I develop a healthy relationship with exercise. I move my body more. I have a better body image. Like really write it all down. What is the best case scenario? So although I know that this is a podcast, I really recommend that you do this because like I said at the beginning, the thing that's holding you back is not you. It's not that you're broken or your body's broken or your brain is broken. Like, it's not that there's something wrong with you. The thing that is standing between you and a life of food freedom is simply your fear of failure, your fear of whatever that might be for you, however your fear might manifest for you. And so you have a choice now. You get to decide, am I going to keep letting fear control, drive, dictate my life and keep my life small and stay in my uncomfortable comfort zone and not take a risk and not believe in myself? Or am I going to feel the fear and do it anyways and be so proud of it? Because let me tell you that although I feel fear all the time, it is probably the thing that makes me the most proud, because to be able to conquer fear and do things even when it makes you uncomfortable, oh my goodness, not a lot of people are willing to do that. And whenever someone joins Food Freedom Academy, I know immediately, like, you're the real thing, because you felt the fear and you're doing it anyways. And that is something to be so proud of. And if you want like a hack to increase your self-esteem and your confidence, that is one of the ways, is to push yourself through the fear, do the thing, and be so proud of yourself for doing it. So I believe in you. I know what is waiting for you on the other side of food freedom. And if you are someone who is serious, who is committed, and who is ready to walk the walk into becoming an intuitive eater so that you can be able to eat without guilt, without obsession, without constant fear of losing control, and become the healthiest and happiest version of you. And you don't want to do it alone. You want to have structure. You want to have guidance. You want to have a community that is supporting you, that is encouraging you, that is by your side, cheering you on, and doing this faster and easier than you ever could have done on your own. Then I am so excited to announce that the doors to apply and join Food Freedom Academy are finally reopening. It has been a long time coming. It's been closed for quite a few months now, but their doors are opening to apply this Monday, and they're only going to be open for 4 days. So if you are ready to take that next step, I am so excited to be your support and to guide you through this journey. So you will find the link in the show notes to join the priority waitlist so that you're the first one notified when the applications open. Spots are going to be limited due to the nature of the program. I want to make sure that I offer a high level of intimate support. So if you're ready to truly transform your life and find food and body freedom, head over to the show notes, get on that wait list, and send in your applications when doors open. I can't wait to chat with you. I hope to see you on the inside. Thanks for listening and have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.